So welcome back after a long hiatus to the Academy of Animated Arts Community Critique and Show. Today we have a couple of submissions of works in progress with some reference that we're going to go over. So yeah, let's do it. So we'll start with people who are here. So I think the closest one to me right now is Mendy.
Yeah.
So Mendy, do you want to talk to us a little bit about what you were trying to achieve, or if there was anything you were struggling with, or things that you felt were successful?
Yeah, so I wanted like a bright, sunny day, like happy, summery vibes, kind of influenced by Santorini. Um, the
Oops, sorry.
I was running into a little bit of weird issues with like the floor being a little bit below everything, but then the render will look like it's above it. And then like the back window on the right side isn't really lighting properly, but
This one?
besides yeah. Um, but yeah, I was just overall trying to figure out the best way to do environmental lighting, which I'm still trying to get used to a little bit.
Nice. Sweet. Well, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for that. Yeah. Anyone have any feedback right away?
And I really like the colors
Yeah.
that you like you changed all the colors and like where it is right now. And for the floor tricky.
Could you say it one more time, Diana?
I freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the displacement map isn't working right now, and that's what's causing like it to look like it's going up and down rather than the blocks. I don't remember if I got it figured out or how I did it in this particular scene.
Yeah. I don't remember the solution either, but I remember it was like the first one I did, and I didn't know how to work displacement maps yet. So I was struggling with like it always looked taller, and I was like, why is it clipping the stairs and the barrels? And it's I would just suggest like going through the Arnold. If you're using, are you using Arnold?
Yeah.
I'd suggest going through their documentation and just for displacement maps and how to add them in and what settings need to be set properly. That's a good place to start, and then always just post that question to the community as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember struggling with that, and people have solved it, so there is hope. Yeah, I really like this too. I really like the lighter blue colors that you have going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fill level and the shadows can be brighter.
And I think even some sharper shadows, like these have these very kind of sharp shadows giving some shaping like to different areas. Even here as well, you have these sharp shadows kind of leading the eye naturally kind of is drawn over here. So like I would suggest playing around with like the shaping and even like having it so, because right now this kind of feels overhead lighting wise. Whereas like this one and this one, it feels that's somewhere kind of over here. So we've got these shadows on the road really in both references. And so I think that you could play with where the sun is to get some more shaping, as like particularly in the ground.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know what you have on the sky dome light, but I think it could be bluer.
The sky itself.
Yeah, not the background, but the light that's representing the sky, because the shadows feel pretty neutral right now, and I think it could be bluer, especially based on your first reference. Like maybe just a little bit, but I would try it and see how it looks.
Okay. I do have the key just as a light and not using the item like a HDRI,
Oh, okay.
but I can play around with that.
Yeah.
For sure. But I think that's a good place to start, is like working on getting the shaping by changing the angle of the sun to kind of match these. And then if you're going for the colors on this one, I think you could play with, like, so these three are more saturated than this, and it's a different hue than this as well. And so you could play a little bit more with putting some more variation, which there's like this is definitely feeling like that darker blue. This one might be, of course it's, I mean, this is, artistic choice, but I wonder if like what these would look like if they were brought a little bit more into this saturation range, and then the hue was shifted around a bit more. What else? And then maybe look into possibly texturing these with like a look that's kind of like this terracotta that these have, because right now they almost feel like they have like a Lambert shader on them. They're on the warmer side, but that's something you could look into playing around with.
Yeah, I think when I made it brighter, the details kind of went away.
Yeah, the tiles on screen right are also kind of flattening out. Yeah, just maybe, I don't know, increase whatever you have on there, or play with it a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah,
Maybe
it's so cool to see this scene. When everyone does it, it's different. Go ahead, sorry.
yeah, I don't know, but maybe you can get a bit better separation between the buildings on the left because they feel very similar in value. So just that you get a better feeling for the depth.
Yeah, I wonder, is the one in the foreground more blue? And then
Yeah, and the back two are supposed to be white, like as it's bouncing off some of the blue on the side.
it's interesting because like that wall that's in shadow is blending in with the blue wall that's in the light. Because I can tell that the buildings are different colors based on this front wall, but it's just where it meets is blending.
You're talking about this one?
No, wait, I can't see your.
Oh, sorry, this or this?
The screen left. Two buildings screen left. That one.
Yeah, okay. I see. And then is this composited as well?
Yeah, a little bit.
Cool. I'm noticing just up here you've got like a jagged edge.
Yeah.
That looks like a pre-multi issue, like if in Nuke.
Oh.
And so it's just kind of got this jaggedy edge. So I'd maybe look into that as well. At least just for when you get to final render. I don't think it's pressing immediately.
Yeah, it could be like low samples. Could be.
I thought that too. But it's just like it's in like this cutout where it's really noticeable. Yeah, but I mean, I think this is awesome. I think this is a great take.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see what the next pass looks like. Oh, and I really like the light on the cables. I think that's really cool. Like they get these like little specky hits. I think those look great.
Actually, I'm not sure if that's just like noise because all of the plants kind of have a lot of noise on them right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, see that. Yeah, like the fireflies and the parts are just like blowing out. And then this I like these too. That's nice.
Yeah.
Anything else? Cool. Well, Mandy, that was really awesome, and thank you for submitting.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for all the
joining.
feedback.
Yeah, of course. All right, I'll exit these. Okay, is anybody else here who submitted?
Not me.
Well, then we will start. We'll start on this side. So, Anand Ramesh. So this is the lighting challenge for this month, and yeah, they've got like a Northern Lights scene going with it. Anyone have any thoughts right off the bat?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is the sky has really, really saturated colors that are really pretty, but you can't really see any of those colors on the rest of the scene except on the ice. So I would try to get some of those colors, especially in the snow, like in the middle, and to blend it a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I agree. I mean, I think it looks like there's like a hint of influence here,
Yeah.
but and then maybe some over here, but then the rest like kind of goes white, grayish, and feels uninfluenced. And especially, you're right, but if like especially if they stick with that super saturated sky, it almost needs like it's breaking realism, um, but like it feels fantastical. So I feel like it would be cool to see those like super saturated colors kind of permeating throughout the scene.
Yeah, and the other thing that I wanted to talk about for this one was, I don't know if you guys saw, but I posted a link to the Rookies article that Ava wrote about like 10 tips for a lighting compositing demo reel. And one of the tips was like try to have one scene where there's a master shot and then a key shot or a close-up shot, which is something that I really, really want to try for like a later project. But that aside, I think that could be that could be a really good opportunity for this scene, because when I saw the frame at first, I didn't even notice the bears, or I didn't recognize the bears.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, what is that? And then I saw the caption, and then I was like, oh. And then, because there's detail, there's like a girl or something in the second story.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you had like a wider shot, a shot that's even wider, that, you can see the saturated sky and then its influence, and then it's like looks fantastical. And then you have a key shot that's much closer to the cabin, and then you can really see the bears and maybe even the person. That would be really cool. I think that could be a cool experiment. I think it would be cool to try out.
I agree, because it feels like a Coke commercial, like a Christmas like polar bear Coke commercial, and like
Oh my god! And then the Goldilocks is drinking all their Coke.
yeah. I think it's like I think there's something going on with the geometry in the bear here. Like there looks like there's a tree clipping through the bear. But I think that this whole area could benefit from a little more shaping. And like there's like subtle hints of some like here and here. They're like these kind of like warmer hits that I feel like it'd be cool to see those brought up a bit. And maybe even playing with this leading line a little bit more, because especially like I feel like the story could be, this bear, and then these two are kind of off to the side encouraging it, or I mean like whatever you artistically want to do, but I feel like I want my eye to be drawn here, but immediately I'm pulled to this area just because it's the brightest, and it was hard to kind of make out what was going on versus like if you play this up, maybe give like a rim light here, or something, give like to separate the polar bear from the background. I think that would help you a lot. Anybody else have any other thoughts?
Pretty.
Cool. Well, we'll move on to the next one. Nice work.
Yeah. And thank you for submitting.
Yes, thank you for submitting as well. So this was submitted by Blast Dude, which I hope is their real name. And this is, I think this was the composited one. Am I correct? This was the compositing course, or is this? I believe that's what
Yeah.
this.
The compositing course comes with renders. This might just be the scene that they lit.
Okay, so they lit this. And then they said trying to run out the whole animation from my portfolio, but I'm having an issue with constraining the point lights to their appropriate rigs and looking correct when the characters are dancing. Oh man, they're dancing in this. That's impressive. So I would greatly appreciate any advice on fixing that. Think I would need to know more about what exactly they're doing, or maybe see like a render of the issue to be able to guess what's going on.
So they're dancing, and then there's point lights where the filaments are on their heads.
Oh, okay.
They need to have it follow the rig.
If you're working in Maya, I think it should be as easy as just dragging the point lights into the geo folder for each one of the characters individually.
Yeah, I would try dropping it like under this, what is that? Glass, the light bulb geometry.
Yeah.
In the outliner, and then see if it's in Maya. I think that should work if it's working with the actual rigs. But if the rigs are referenced in, you might have to do that in the rig file, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've never done it, honestly, but I think that's how people do it. But yeah, later if you're able to join us or show us more information or show us like more pictures of what's happening and stuff, I'm sure there's people that can help you.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. How's it going, Emma? Thanks for joining. So for this, I love the glow on all of the bulbs.
Mhm.
I like the kind of dingy jazz club feel. I think that's really working.
Yeah, the grandpa bulb fits right in.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised how noiseless this is. It's like really clean with all the glass and stuff in there.
Yeah, no, it's looking great. Does anyone else have any other thoughts? Feel free, anything like you just noticed that you really like about it, or anything you have a question about?
I think maybe the globe, the disco ball, I forgot for a second, that maybe the purple is a little bit too much. Maybe you can get a more like a mixture of the two colors. It just seems like it's like just straight down
Mm-hmm.
and not.
No,
I guess the
that's a good
interaction
point.
between the two colors can be a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, especially because like it's kind of there's this warm light here, and you feel like you'd want to see some of that influence there, and we're not seeing it. And then these definitely look like they're clipping. So there, it's like just when I saw this, I think at first I immediately thought that there should be like a lot more purple on these characters, just because of how intense it looks like that. The purple on the ball is, but then when you look in the atmosphere, it doesn't feel as intense.
And also maybe like the floor, it kind of looks like it's kind of like a painted color, not so much like a light source.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm wondering the intention there is I wonder if they want it to be like a light source or more like a flat plane, because it definitely doesn't feel like it's a light source. There isn't any, of that cyan light on the
Yeah.
character. Especially, yeah, some of the characters' legs go really dark, which even if it's a painted dance floor, it shouldn't. I think there could be more light on there from like reflections.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you look here, this is the shadow isn't on the panes right now.
Oh yeah.
So it's just like
Oh.
this, there's just that shape there. So it either it's like buried in the stack somehow, or like they threw an emission on this, like, and it just like kind of made it a solid cyan. So yeah, I think that's something they should definitely explore is it a light source or is it the surface of the dance floor? And then maybe find some reference to kind of help develop that further.
Yeah, but the dog's shadow is,
Yeah, that's so
or is that
interesting.
a reflection, not a shadow. But yeah, there's
Yeah.
some that's something you should check out.
And then to your point about the darkness, definitely like work on building up some of the like fill or global illumination, just like kind of raise these black values so that there's nothing that's like pure darkness. What else?
Yeah, I think the shadows and then stuff like that will be more apparent once they move too. So
Mm-hmm.
I would try to yeah, touch up some of that and figure it out before.
Yeah, if the goal is to go for like a purple coming from the top and cyan from the bottom, I would definitely play with bringing that cyan up on all these characters. Like, because I can feel like the characters that feel most set into the scene are the two in the
Yeah, like
back.
if the floor is meant to be like a light source, maybe try to do the same thing, similar thing you've done with the light bulbs, because those look really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even using those as rim light sources. Like right now, it's like there's no hint of those in their like in the rim of their bodies. Anything else? Cool. Well, yeah, I'm excited to see the next pass, and I'd also be interested to know if you are going to be texturing these too, if that's something down the road, or if it's just a pure kind of lighting study. Sweet. Well, great work, and thank you for submitting.
Thank you.
Alrighty, next up is Nathania. So this is another one that's part of this month's lighting challenge. Also a Northern Lights scene. It's cool because I've seen a couple different Northern Lights scenes and they all, like they have different feels. And then there's some things that are similar, which are interesting. And like, I like how subtle in this one. I like the subtleness of the Northern Lights. What are everyone's thoughts?
Looks amazing.
Pretty.
Really great.
The colors are really gorgeous. I really like the ones that they picked out.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like they might have already done a lot of work on it, but we can still.
Okay. Cool.
I think this was a while ago, but yeah, some of the, I think, yeah, like adding some glow on the windows, you know,
Yeah.
a little bit more contribution of that warm light.
Mm.
Because it's like really contained to the windows right now. And then at the same time, the warm light is like super strong on the ice, but I think they said they were fixing that with light linking.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess it's tricky to do like a nighttime scene. Because I do feel like the background mountains and the trees are getting a little bit flat. At the same time, I'm like, I don't know how to get good shaping
I
there in a scene like this.
I agree. But my suggestion would be reference, like
Mm.
especially with having the northern lights and then like a building with its lights on in the shot. I know someone submitted like a couple months ago, and they had some reference for like northern lights, and we talked about how in order to get the exposure rate for the northern lights, it meant that the lights in the buildings that were also in the photograph are like blown out. And so if you're going
Right.
for like a realistic look, maybe look at some reference and see, um, like find that balance, because I think, yeah, they could either do that or they could play around, and bring that light down, um, and try to and break some of like realistic rules to have a balance. So yeah, it all depends on what they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
Then this rock is super flat to me. It looks like a sticker on there right now. So I'd look at
It does.
getting some shaping and maybe there's a light linking issue or something. It just seems to be missing shadows, and like like all these other ones have like nice things grounding them, and then this one feels like it doesn't have any of that.
Mm.
And then this feels like it's influenced more by that than the rest of the scene is. This is like a much more greeny, cyany color. And I wonder if that needs to be brought back.
Yeah, you're right.
And then maybe here too it could be kind of brought back a little bit, just to not let the snow get too green. Sweet. Anybody else? Any feedback? Laura, what jumped out to you is what you really liked about it?
Yeah, like it was said before, the colors, they are just so beautiful. I love the combination.
Hmm.
The warm and the cool.
Yeah, the
Pretty.
warm light looks nice too. Just the hue is like spot on, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels cozy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh,
Oh, what do you see?
no, I was looking at the what is that? The mailbox? I think that's what was penetrating our polar bear earlier.
Oh, you solved it. There we go.
I'm wondering, but I think that's a big contender for what that was.
Sweet.
Cool.
All right, next up is Nikhil. So this is the woman in Paris. I think that was the name of this. I can't remember the name of the
Oh,
asset.
and the window.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So does anyone have any thoughts right away?
Yeah, I think the whole background is just way too bright. And the contrast to the hair is very big, because you can't really tell any shaping in it. So yeah, put some work in the shaping of the hair.
That's a good point.
I think the
Yeah.
hair is just overall too black. It should be lifted.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think somebody also gave this feedback, but the biggest thing is that it's like overall really, really bright. The fill area is bright. I think, yeah, the fill area could come down so that there's like more shaping. And then at the same time, the hair could use like some more light, or I think some shader work, because it's it's definitely really dark.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like maybe there's like an opacity map or something that needs to be reapplied or something to get rid of some of these jagged edges. And then there's like some kind of sticking through here as well.
Oh yeah.
I really like this. Almost feels painted, like this. Like there's like this painted feel to this,
Oh yeah.
and it's either a stylistic choice, which I really like, or it's that this render is just very low res, and we're getting like
Banding.
yeah, a lot of banding, giving it kind of a almost like cell shaded cartoon style. So maybe look into that, and if that is the issue. And then, like you're saying, Laura, they're like these squares. I don't know if you can tell with this, like through the stream, but it's like it'll be like a darker blue and then a lighter blue. It's like a checkered board. So yeah, it seems like just something's going on with the background as well, but it could definitely be brought down and maybe into like a less saturated color as well. Because she almost feels like a cutout right now, like with, and the hair is playing with that, the contrast, like Laura was saying, and could definitely benefit from. There's like, I feel like there's a lot of great shaping in the clothing right now, and in her shoulders, but then the face and the hair just need a similar treatment, and I think that'll get you much closer, as well as working on the like background. Anything else?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that a lot of the shaping in the clothes is really cool. And once you tone down the background's kind of fighting for your attention, but I think it's looking really good.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great point. Sweet. Well, then let's move on. Nice work, and thank you for submitting, and can't wait to see the next one. All right, so this is Alamense's submission, and they also had two references. So they had this reference here, and then this reference here from, was it Rhea? Is that from Rhea? Oh, can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. There's just a little bit of lag. And then I also included this paint over that Jordan did as well as part of his feedback. I thought it was cool, and it would be cool to talk about. So before we get to that, what does it do? Anybody have any feedback?
Yeah, I think the paint over that Jordan included is a really good start to talk about it. I think the foreground dark values he brought it down a little too much. Also, is this the like alternative version? I think there's like a
This is the first one, but you're right, there was an alternative version as well.
I think the alternative is slightly less dark. Okay, look at it.
Okay, there you go. So this is the less dark alternate.
Yeah, I really like how the monster looks in both of these paint overs. For the foreground, I think the contrast and shadow level is too much. I think something like a mix between this and what Olameze had would be a good start. I do think it's a little bright. I
Yes.
think the shadows are a little bright overall to be like a spooky scene. I think playing up the warm light that's on the characters and then just the window light would be a really good start. And that's kind of what Jordan is doing in the paint over. But the thing that's kind of, I wouldn't say missing, but something else that I would do from this paint over is the haze around the window. So I think keeping the foreground shadows darker than the background would really help this piece and add depth. Like in the first reference, you have the door, which is like the brightest thing in the scene, and then all this haze all over the back door and the background, which is separating the foreground from the background, because the foreground has a lot more darker shadow points. But that's also probably achieved in large part in comp, so it'll also come later. But yeah, that's what I would do.
Any other thoughts?
It was a cool scene.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if they made it from the reference, or if it's part of a bigger project.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really cool. And it feels like it's out of like the Jurassic Park raptor scene. Like it has that same sort of energy. Yeah, I agree with everything you said, Diana, and I think that I think there should also be shadow kind of coming, it's like this reference, like there are these shadows here that are like, like you only see his legs and a little bit of the duster jacket, but it gives this like forward motion even though he's standing still, this like looming character. And so I feel like you could maybe play with giving some playing with some shadow here as well for the zombie, and that'll add a bit more connection between them and the carpet as well. And then like this really shapes the zombie, and I think you could even add like a rim, here, because I think that'll then connect the zombie to the kids. I don't think it has to be huge or anything. Like I feel like there's already a hint of it now, but like a real like rim, like in the same way that Jordan's demonstrating here. I think would be a great way to use light to connect the characters and add more tension.
Yeah. And for the warm light source, I would experiment with kind of changing the direction so that it's like uplighting them from below a little bit. Or because I think in the reference, the side angle really works because we're looking up the characters, like we're kind of, I don't know, lying on the floor looking up. So the side lighting works to be that dramatic, but since we're kind of looking at them more straight on, unless you want to play with the camera too, I think it's a great opportunity to get some like pretty uplighting on the characters.
You're right.
Like a fell on the floor,
Yeah, like in this one, like the brightest part of them is their eyes and like the hand and the gun. So like my face is drawn up here because of that. Whereas in this one, the brightest part is like here. So now I'm just looking at somebody's elbow. And I think like you have a weapon, you have these two characters, like, and I think you could really play up getting like the lights in their eyes and just shifting, and even with the upline that Diana's talking about, just having it at the very least focus on these characters. This one, like, his legs are going pretty dark with like a little bit of variation between the light and shadow, but then it's much more stark and difference up here.
Yeah, another thing about the reference is so the brightest oranges that we see in the scene are the two characters' faces, and then we have this like dark shape right in between them, which like gives us that contrast, and that's why we
Yeah.
look right there. We could do something like that for where the faces are the brightest part and the weapon is dark, or the weapon could even be bright, and then that would still draw our eye there too.
Yes, yeah, exactly. There's so many different things you could do. And that's such a good point, Diana. Like even like focusing on this and then their faces like this, like, there's a story to be told there, or a story to be told by highlighting the roller or their faces. That's a great point. How's it going, Molly?
Hello.
Hi.
You've caught us just as we're finishing the last one of the submissions, and then afterwards we can just hang around and chat too.
Okay, cool, great, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Did anyone else have any feedback on this one? I think I have one last. I'd say let this go dark.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so much of this that, like in this the reference, like, it's you can't really tell what's going on here. Like it really is like this area is lit and this area is lit, and you're looking there. So I'd say you've got this cool window, and you've got these characters who are like clearly scared, and like I think you can build that connection and creepiness by just doing things that bring the focus into the scene and what you want to say. Sweet. All right, so that's it for the all the submissions. I'll double check to make sure no one any last minute ones. Nope, all good. Yeah, so thank you everybody for joining and for giving feedback. And yeah, now we'll just hang out and chat for a little bit afterwards. So I'll go ahead and stop recording.